We were just talking to Tom Friedman about, I think one of the things he wants us to do is make sure that we spend this as effectively and efficiently as we can, because that's the environment that we're in right now. So just a couple of ideas in terms of the grid and trying to improve it. One of the initiatives, and I'm sure you had something to do with it, is to decarbonize the grid by 2035, which means you're going to need a lot of clean energy loaded onto the grid, which the Journal points out 20 gigawatts of high-capacity power lines need to be built between California and Texas. And that's a similar initiative was blocked by environmentalists from Canada to the Northeast for hydropower. Is there going to be an issue trying to, the same people that want to go green, there's a lot of regulations in trying to actually affect it. How will you handle that?
Well, first of all, you're right about the regulations. There is a huge patchwork across the country about how you get grid transmission sited to begin with, because it shares shares responsibility between state, locals. There's a lot of not in my backyardism, et cetera. Honestly, we need to add capacity to the grid. We need to make it more resilient, and we need to make it cyber attack proof. We need to make it secure. We need the investment in the transmission grid for a whole variety of reasons, including that there are increased climate events that are knocking power out more repeatedly every single year. We pay $70 billion a year just in the costs of the power outages alone. So we need a better grid. And we're going to make, we're going to do what we need to do to incentivize coordination to ensure we can get the siting. And now, if we get this through the Congress, we will have the means to be able to bring our grid up to speed for both capacity and for resilience.
Madam Secretary, I'm wondering whether where were you on easing the National Environmental Policy Act reviews? Did you argue to do that? It's been highlighted again and again how difficult, costly, and how long it takes for these reviews to try and get anything done. And Democrats refuse to allow that. And I mean, are you okay with how cumbersome it is? These things you want to do. Didn't you argue maybe that we should relax?
I hate the bureaucracy. I hate it. No, so it's really important that government is nimble, that government is flexible, that government is efficient, that government is quick. And that's true all the way through. So I think we need to do, and we are doing internally, sort of a value stream mapping process. Where are the areas of redundancy? What is taking us so long? Can we collapse permitting times? Can we have reciprocity? So yeah, we need to speed things up. And that's part of what can be incentivized, both at the state and local level as well as the federal level. Because there's, as I say, that we have a patchwork. This is what America is. It's the beautiful part of America, but it also means that there are overlapping jurisdictions that need to coordinate better, to streamline more so that it's more efficient.
It's been pointed out that trying to transition our economy to electric vehicles, at this point, they're not as economically, it's not as easy to run one as it is to do the existing structure that we have.
You obviously do not have an EV. I have had an electric vehicle now for 6 years. Now, I lease it, and I lease solar panels on my roof. And it is, I drive a Chevy Bolt. It is the best car I have ever had.
But it still needs subsidies. It still needs subsidies from the government to make it economically feasible.
Well, here's what I would say on this. This is a great question because of the investments we've made in research and development. The Department of Energy oversees 17 national labs, and a lot of them are working on bringing down costs, right? And the private sector obviously teamed on this. The cost of the battery, which is the biggest expense in an electric vehicle, has dropped 90% since 2010, and it's going to continue to drop. So you're going to see a point where the actual upfront cost of the EV, of the electric vehicle, is the same price as a traditional vehicle. You're seeing it now. I mean, you're seeing obviously much lower entrance into the market. It's what GM, it's what Ford, it's what Tesla is working on. And on top of that, the savings that you have from plugging in versus gassing up is enormous. It's $600 a year for your average citizen. So it is a much better alternative, and people will start to see that more and more. You're right in that the uptake hasn't been as great because the infrastructure across the country hasn't been there, and that's part of what this American Jobs Plan is seeking to resolve.
Shepard Smith here. Thanks for watching CNBC on YouTube.